So even in traditional region like Bordeaux, things are slowly changing. How do you see the changes happening in Bordeaux now in relation to climate change and any other trends?
It's they are definitely a very enterprising community town,
Hmm.
and it goes like they're also the winemaking there is enormous and very well organized and very well promoted and etc. So it's no wonder that therefore they already think ahead and say, okay, in 20 years from now the climate will not be what it is now, and it will not be, we won't be able to produce the wines that we produce now. So we should look into how we can adapt. And so I'm not aware of too many things like that in other regions.
No.
It may exist, but I'm not aware of it. It's definitely a Bordeaux thing. They have a communication and research and all kinds of things linked to the wine business, because the wine business is huge in Bordeaux.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really think this. I mean, this is the challenge of the generation, the wine world,
Absolutely. I mean,
especially
that's
in the traditional place like France, where you're only allowed to grow certain varietals in certain places. You grow those varietals in places because they love the climate, they love the terroir there. And when the climate starts to change, you have to look at other varietals, or else you're not making wine anymore there, right?
exactly. And, uh, and definitely, I mean, COVID-19 is nothing in terms of challenge compared to climate change. I mean, it touches everything, and including wine. And
Right,
it's
right.
good for
Yeah.
Bordeaux to already be starting to adapt to it.
Any reports from your producers on the 2020 harvest? How are things looking over there?
2020 is supposed to be a great year. Lots of people. So first of all, 2019 was already a fantastic year, especially for whites. We don't have, but we know because we are drinking the white. That's what I have in my glass right now. The 19 reds are barely starting to come up, so we don't know. They are said to be very, very good. 20 seems to be more or less on par with it. The conventional wisdom that I've built talking to different winemakers is that 20 by comparison to 19 is a little bit what 16 was to 15. 15 was a great year, sometimes too solar a year, meaning could there could be too much heat, too much sun, and make a wine that has to age for too long, that's maybe a little bit challenging to drink. While 16 had almost all of that, just a tad less, and was making a more easily well-balanced and drinkable wine. It seems that 20 is a little bit along those lines compared to 19.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing those in the bottle. So your history as a photographer led you to printing, led you to being a framer. So you're clearly like to take control and are a hands-on type of guy in the endeavors you do. Have you ever had thoughts into crafting your own wine and becoming a winemaker yourself, or are you happy stopping at the importing level of where you are now?
Well, no. The short answer is no. The long answer is that when I was in photography, I was always the most expensive photographer in the room, because I like to go to the most complex things. I mean, it's not, I wasn't doing complexity for the sake of complexity, but I didn't mind going there because if it was necessary. In wine, I've taken the opposite approach. I wanted to make it a product affordable for people, and etc. And that eventually I understood also that wine is very complicated. It's actually probably, at least for me, because I didn't go to the school of wine, mind you. So if I had, maybe I would not say that. But from my standpoint, knowing the little I know about wine, it's more complicated than making photography. So I'm not going to go into wine. I think I'll leave that to people who have parents doing it, or who have dedicated. It's like, in order to go into something like this, you have to dedicate your life to it. I think I've gone reasonably far in photography, because from the day I was 15 years old, basically, to now, for the longest time, I've only thought about that. I've studied it. I've reflected on it. I've dedicated an immense amount of hours to photography. So I'm fairly good at it. In order to arrive to the same level of wine, I would have to have a second life, and I don't.
Right, right. So we
I
have to
mean,
be sad.
as I know, my initials, JC, might yield people to believe otherwise, but until further instructed, I'm only here once.
Yes, yes. We are satisfied being middlemen right now, are we not? Just bring the good wines to the people. So, is there is there anything else you want to talk about? The floor is yours. We've talked about Bordeaux. We've talked about your background. Is there anything else you want to tell the people about what you're up to these days? Towards the end of a pandemic, we hope.
Well, I'm like everybody. The vaccine cannot come a day too soon, and I hope we can enjoy going back to life. And I encourage everybody to look into the tours. I mean, they are not up at the moment because there's too many uncertainties. But I will have a Provence wine tour late May, early June. I suspect that one actually will take place. There's an empty spot right after that. I don't know what we'll do. And I'll have a tour of Occitania normally in the fall. There's also a Bordeaux tour in the fall, which is done with our good friend Larry. And I think that I hope that people will take on the opportunity to explore France in a very authentic fashion. I mean, everything that I do is rooted in authenticity. That's where photography informs everything. You know, photography is here to represent reality. I mean, at least that's the way I look at it. There's a lot of so-called contemporary photography that I don't necessarily care for because it's not authentic anymore. It uses photography as a medium to convey somebody else's fantasies or dreams or theories or whatnot. I think that the strength of photography is when it represents reality, because then there's a strong connection. You know, think of a photograph that captures a moment that's essential, a little bit like this actually, or other subjects that could be more dramatic. That's very strong, and so therefore it has developed in me a sense for authenticity, and I don't like to deviate too much from that. So in the tours, I offer people a chance to travel to France in a very authentic fashion because it's a place that I know a little bit, and so I hope that more people take on that, and we can travel and have a great time together. Well,
we all look forward to traveling anywhere other than our houses and our work coming soon. And of my customers that have taken your trips, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about the great time they have. They become great fans of you and your wine just by traveling. And speaking of authenticity, you have some great authentic wines, and I do encourage everyone to revisit Bordeaux. From the whites to the rosés to the reds, they are great everyday wines, and they are traditionally yet authentic, and I think they would please so many palates. So I just want to thank Jean-Christian for joining us today. We look forward to having you back behind the bar pouring wine as soon as it is safe to do so, because as great as this conversation is, there is no replacement for having an in-person Jean-Christian experience, and this is as close as we could come to giving that to the people. But you and your passion for the wines that you bring in one-on-one, Zoom meetings doesn't quite do that justice. Except we appreciate you doing this today, Jean-Christian. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Seth. It's always great to be with you. You know that I want to do a tour with you actually because I cannot get
Once I'm traveling again, Jean-Christian, you will not be able to keep my feet on the ground. I will join you in France. I will join friends around the wine world. I look forward to seeing so many people in person again once we're done with this. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Steph.